Hi, I'm Marty Nemco. I made a video yesterday about favorite plants to grow in the Bay Area. Not marijuana, because having reviewed the literature on the subject, even though it felt good to get high when I was in college, the unbiased medical evidence is pretty scary. And so that's one plant I'm not going to recommend. Um, in the video yesterday, I left out a couple of things that I would like to add. And one is a geranium. Uh, the old-fashioned orange-red geraniums were pretty ugly. That color was not an attractive color. But there are two varieties now in full rich red that I wanted to recommend. One is relatively small, roughly will be about 12 to 14 inches tall and as wide. And it's called Savannah Really Red. Available in, I know for sure at Home Depot, that's where I got it for $4 or whatever. And the other is also available at Home Depot, but much more broadly. At Home Depot, it's got a different name called Big Red. It is very wide and very vigorous, probably 2 feet wide, although still only about 12 inches tall. Brilliant red. If you buy it anywhere else, it's called Calliope Dark Red. And that's worth, or deep red, I'm not quite sure. That is, it blooms all in the Bay Area, certainly all the time from, it's been blooming now, it's January, it's still blooming, but it bloomed from March all the way through now. Remarkable and relatively inexpensive. Um, I want to talk about a couple of overrated, one tree I wanted to mention that is really good, but only in the warmer areas of the Bay Area. Probably only from the warmer areas of Oakland and east, or in as we go south from maybe best from Palo Alto down through San Jose or anywhere warmer than that. And that is Crape Myrtle. Crape Myrtle is a wonderful tree. They have many varieties. Some are very dwarf. For example, catawba is kind of a beautiful spready, could be a shrub or a small tree, beautiful purple, blooms for 100 to 120 days a year, which is a remarkable amount of time in the doldrums of summer. And then in the fall, and actually the bark is kind of interesting, and it's deciduous, but that's a great variety. On the other end of the continuum, I think the most beautiful color is a lavender, and it's called Muskogee, not because it was created by Indians, but the U.S. Department of Agriculture decided to name a series of their best um, crepe myrtles after Indian tribes. And so that's a particularly good one. There's another one that is intermediate size that's a lovely kind of a hot pink that roughly will end up 12 feet tall, 10, 12 feet tall, called pink velour. But there are many others and so, but those are three that I'd like to bring to your attention. They're relatively mildew resistant compared to the older varieties, so you don't have that as much of that problem. I want to end this little video by talking about some overrated plants. There's an endless focus on the positive, and I like to be balanced. I've mentioned mostly things that I think are great. I'm not going to talk about overrated plants. I think that the azaleas and their cousin rhododendrons are overrated. They bloom a relatively short amount of time, and until established, require a fair degree of water, and just not worth it. Yes, the color is there for a week or two. Same with dogwood, by the way. I wasn't planning on mentioning that, but dogwood as well looks gorgeous when it's in bloom for those 2 weeks. But there's 2 weeks in a year, and 50 they're nondescript. Don't exactly turn me on. Um, I think that even though I have hybridized roses, I used to grow over 100 roses, I think roses are overrated. Even though most roses are sold in California because the weather is so felicitous for it, and there's going to be less black spot, which is a devastating disease that roses get in more humid climates. It's overrated because you really do have, it's a fair amount of work to plant, it's a fair amount of work to prune, and they're relatively heavy feeders, and then you've got to cut to spent blooms, and they could indeed get mildew or black spot or rust or even downy mildew. It's just generally not worth it. I recommended one variety last time because it doesn't get much black spot and it has the most gorgeous flower you'll ever see, and therefore it may be worth it, called Black Magic. But in general, I think roses are overrated. Wisteria is a vine that I think is terribly overrated. And also clematis, but especially wisteria. It blooms for just a couple of weeks a year. Lovely fragrance, very vigorous. But again, you got 50 weeks of nothing special, or just another green thing. And so I really think that in our area, the best climbing vines are going to be bougainvillea, and also pandorea. Pandorea rosea is gorgeous. These trumpet flowers that are white with a pink throat, red throat. Great stuff. I also think that pansies are overrated. Pansies are they flop in the they're not good in hot weather. They tend to die, and in the cool weather, when you get the rain, they tend to flop over. That's why I'm a huge fan of their smaller cousin called violas, because the flowers are smaller and they don't flop over, and yet they bloom nonstop. Anyway, I think that's all I want to tell you for now. Um, this is the antidote to my occasional political incorrectness. I was forced to take down a video ironically, on censorship. And so here is my attempt to try to be contributory without offending anybody. I welcome your comments below, your thumbs up if you like it, or emailing me your comments or questions or whatever. I do respond to all my email. My email address is mnemco@comcast.net. That's MNEMKO@comcast.net. And thank you very much for watching.